Hey everyone, and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be continuing Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas crochet kit, doing Spiral Hill. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, this is going to be, I think, somewhat easy to do. However, I do believe that this is going to take quite some time. So I don't know if I can get this done in a week. Alright, but we're going to see what I can do. So for this Spiral Hill, we're going to be using a 2.75 millimeter hook. So let's see, do I have that here? I have a collection of all my hooks here. Here's the 2.75. You always want to keep everything localized into one case or what have you, so that you always know, or at least kind of know, where everything is. Okay. And then we're going to be using DK cotton yarn in black, white, and yellow. So I have yellow, I have my black, and I have in here, I had to order some white. It says white here, but the yarn used is a champagne white. So it's actually pure black, champagne white, and daffodil yellow in paint box cotton DK yarn. Obviously, this is Lion brand. I don't know what brand this is. And then this one is Mainstays. So you can use whatever you have. I was going to use Red Heart, but I had this in Lion brand, and they're two different thicknesses. So I didn't want to use the black one in my Red Heart because that would have looked really weird. I just happened to have this. I use this to make my doilies that I sell on Etsy you can use doilies for practically anything, but cotton is better to use when you have hot pots or hot teacups or stuff like that. So anyway, that's why I had that. We're going to need embroidery thread in black, a wooden dowel. I did go and order some wooden dowels off of Amazon. I knew that was coming up, so I found ones that were 2-day. If you have Prime, which is right here, I actually got the 15 because it just says the thickness, so I have half of an inch thickness, but I got a 15 length because they say that once this is finished, it should be 12 inches long. They sell a lot of half-inch wooden dowels in 12-inch lengths, but if you did that, you would really be up on the edge, and you don't want to lose any of the strands here. So I got a 15. It looks like they might have used a 15 as well to hang this. Let's see. Oh, it says it. And approximately 10.5 inches long. Wow, that doesn't make any sense, doesn't it? If it... Oh, I'm a silly person. It's 8 inches wide, 12 inches long. Alright, well, I didn't see this part, so that's my bad. So, if you haven't started this yet, get a 10.5 inch long. Whatever, I'm just going to have an extra long piece. That's okay. And then we have our embroidery needle, scissors, stitch markers. Ooh, that I need to go grab. And then, like I said, it should finish in 8 inch by 12 inches. And if it does end up to be longer than, you expected it to be, it's nothing to really fret about, because everybody's stitching is different. Beginners are going to do loose stitches or tight stitches, and maybe inconsistent, so size will vary. Alright, so for new stitches, I will always repeat it 3 times. and thereafter I'll go normal speed. So if you need to pause, rewind, slow down, definitely do that. If you need to change the playback speed, click on the gear button on the top corner somewhere in your video, and you can change the playback speed to go slow or fast. If you don't need to hear me, you can lower the volume on your device and then click on the CC button. Okay, so let's get straight into this. So we're gonna make a panel. The base panel is worked in rows in Intarsia crochet. I didn't know what Intarsia crochet was, but it's basically working with multiple colors, and we already did this without knowing. When we did when we did Dr. Finkelstein. Was it Dr. Finkelstein? It was one of the characters where I just kept the yarn behind the project so that we didn't have to keep cutting and tying knots. This is exactly what it is. You could also find it in the beginning of the book. Change color before completing the last stitch of the previous color. Leave the yarn on the wrong side of the work. On the back if you're working an odd row, and in the front if you're working an even row. Okay, so hopefully I don't screw that one up. And then it says row 1 with white, we're going to do 24 chains and then change to black and do 24 chains with that. We're going to skip the first chain from the hook and do 23 single crochet stitches and change to white and do 24 single crochet stitches, turn, and have 47 stitches in the end. We're going to follow the chart on page 86 for all further color changes beginning with row 2. Okay. So from rows to 2 to 77, it's all going to be single crochet. So I just have to show you how to do chains and single crochets in the beginning of this video, and then it's the same throughout. However, this is where we're gonna have an issue. So I would say get little square, they're like 1 inch or 2 inch post-it sticky notes. They also have the long ones that are about maybe a ½ inch tall and like maybe 1 inch wide. You can use those as guides to tape over the rows that you are on, and you can use a pen on the post-it to draw an arrow for which box you leave off on. I don't have any of that. I think I have post-it notes, so I might try doing that, because there's no way I'm going to sit through 77 rows in this one video. It's going to be impossible. But we're going to use this guide to know when to change to what color. So this is going to be an amazing ride. I hope you are ready for it. So stick with me and let's get this started. Okay, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to try to do this to where the idea is you're not going to see the back. So this Intarsia, what do they call it? The Intarsia crochet. The intention is to have the back look kind of crappy so that you can change your colors. I'm going to try to do it to where it won't look bad on either side. I don't know, I've not done that, so we're going to see. Okay, so let's start. We're going to do the white. We have 24 stitches that we have to do, and I'm going to show you, I talk about this all the time, we're going to do a little tip. So if you get the end piece on the outside of the spool, it'll roll when you pull it, as you may or may not know. The best thing to do, and they kind of mention it in this spiral hill, to grab it from the inside. So it may not be perfect, but I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna like get like a strand, like a random strand. It's not gonna be right away what you need, but I'm just gonna pull a bunch out, because eventually you're going to use the yarn up, but you want to pull it to where you could potentially find the end. So I pulled this whole chunk out. Be very careful about it. You don't want to make any internal knots, but this is what it's looking like now. I'm going to set this aside and we're going to find the end, I believe, because we pulled a nice chunk out with no you know, there's only one side of yarn coming out, so for sure the end piece is in here. So I'm gonna carefully pull the yarn out and lay it next to my my workspace in a way where hopefully I won't make any tangles on this side. And this side I'm just going to kind of work this yarn so I don't make any knots in here. But the goal is to find the inside, the end piece of the inside of this spool. If you do end up pulling things to make knots, then you just have to go in and kind of manipulate some of this yarn so it doesn't bunch up into a knot. Sometimes you will come across knots and you just have to fix them, but I'm trying to hopefully not get any. Okay. I'm sure there's better and fancier ways to do this, but this is how I've always done it. But yeah, so here I've reached the end of the inside of the spool, and so now I'm going to bring my bunch of yarn here, and then we have this, right? So moving forward, when I grab my yarn, I want to lay this right here, right? The idea is when you pull the yarn now, it's not going to roll. At most it'll tug, especially if there's a knot inside, but at most you can just weigh it down with a phone or something and then just pull, and it'll pull it out nice and clean, and it's not going to roll around on you. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to do that for the black, and I'm going to do that for the yellow. But first let's work with the white. Okay, let me go grab a post-it note real quick for when I have to take mini breaks. Okay, so I have my post-it note. I can just remove it, stick it on here, draw like an arrow next to the box that I left off at. Okay. Let's cast onto our hook using a slip knot. So I'm going to do this for righties. If you need it for lefty, comment below. I'm going to add it to my long list of videos that I have to do for lefty. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our ring finger and pinky and thumb and hold the end piece here. I'm going to take my middle finger and index and hold it a little bit a ways apart, make this kind of taut. I'm going to lay my crochet hook perpendicular to the yarn. We're going to go down, out, and around to make a little loop on our hook. You can slide it up and down. So let's do this again. Perpendicular to the yarn, we're going to go down, around, and then we're going to slide this to make sure it's a nice loop. I'm going to drag this towards my thumb, and I'm going to take my middle finger here, and we're just going to place it right over where it crosses, because I want to let go of my left hand, and we are going to gather up some yarn around our finger. Pinch the end of the yarn again. We're going to slide the hook back down towards your thumb, like that. And once we hit that crossing point, you want to use your thumb and your middle finger to pinch it so you can no longer go up and down with your hook. It's stable. So now we're going to do a yarn over, and we're going to pull it through this loop. So yarn over, which is basically yarning over the hook like that, and I'm going to pull this strand through this loop. So let's do that now. Okay, just like that. So now I'm going to overhand my hook here, which is putting your hand over your hook as opposed to, as opposed to underneath it. Holding it underneath is just easier, I feel. There's less tension in your hands, so you don't get pain doing this for a long period of time. Plus it leaves the stitches nice and kind of loose, not too loose. But yeah, I'm going to overhand this now, because what I want to do is pinch the end with my thumb and my middle finger on the end of this yarn right here. I'm going to push this knot with my fingers, and I know I have the nails today, guys, sorry. They were actually much longer if you do watch my nail videos, but I'm basically going to push this knot towards this thumb and tighten up that knot. So slide the knot. You can, as you see, I'm going to use the side of my fingers so you can see what I'm doing here. We're going to push this knot towards my left hand, and then you're going to get to a point where the knot is either too tight and won't move anymore, or it hits your thumb and it can't go down anymore. So once you hit either one of those two situations, what you can do is then take your thumb and your middle finger. We're going to grab this excess piece and we're going to pull it just a little bit tighter. So pull this out. Oops, pull this out. It's going to tighten up this knot. You don't have to go crazy. Just pull it enough to be a little more tighter, because we're going to grab this knot here, this one right here. We're going to grab this knot and we're going to slide it up towards the hook. You want to leave a little space here, so I'm going to do this now. Slide it up, and we're going to leave, put an amount of space because we're going to create our first chain stitch on here. Alright, so now that we have cast it on to our hook using the slip knot, I'm going to grab a decent amount of yarn around my finger. You don't have to do this. My aunt didn't like me doing this when I was learning, but I like to put a lot of yarn on my finger. We're going to go to the first instructions of round 1, and we're going to do 24 chains. So to do a chain is the simplest stitch you can do in crochet. It's one of the basic ones too. So all it is we're going to yarn over the hook just like this, and we're going to take that yarn over this strand here and we're going to pull it through the loop, and that is it for the chain. So let's go ahead, pull the hook out, grab that strand, and let's pull it through this loop like that. So we have our first chain that you see right here. It's a nice pretty braid. We have a left loop and a right loop. When we reposition this, it'll end up becoming either a top or bottom loop or front or back loop, but you have 2 loops to a chain stitch. So we're gonna do 23 more of these. So we're going to yarn over, pull this through the loop, and now we have 2 chains. So we have to do 22 more. Let's do one more with you guys. So yarn over and pull through that loop. Now we have 3 chains. Okay, so now we just have to do 21 more stitches. Now after the 24th stitch we have to we're going to start using black. So stop when you get to the 23rd stitch, because I'll show you how to change to black. So now in silence we're going to work, we have 21 stitches, we're going to work 20 stitches, and the last one I'm going to show you how to change to black. Okay, I'm going to start doing some more on my own, and when I get to a point where I can't reach anymore, and I'll explain it and I'll show you, and I'll stop and I'll show you what that means. I'll show you how to deal with that. But you always want to place your thumb and middle finger gently pressing on your stitches you already made, just to give stability so that you can work this hook and your project will stay put. It won't follow you. That's what causes loose stitches. Alright, so let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, I was only able to do 6, and now it's getting a little too out of hand. Like I'm stretching down here, I'm stretching with my finger here. what you can do is creep up your middle finger and thumb higher up on your chain stitches for more stability. And then of course you can always resituate your yarn so that it's closer. You want to be closer to your next stitch, like that. So my thumb and middle finger are higher up the chains. My feeding yarn feeder, I don't know. This finger here is closer to the project as well. So I was only able to do 6. All right, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Oops, 20. Stop at 20. So we have 23 so far. We are gonna, before we do the last chain stitch, we're gonna switch to black. So let go of the feeder yarn here, off your finger. We're gonna pull this baby out. Doesn't matter how long, just long enough to where you won't lose the stitch. We're gonna set this aside. Let's take a moment to look at the braiding. I always love looking at this. Look how pretty it is. Now over time it will be consistent. If you're a beginner, you're gonna have small, big, very tight, very loose, you know, and that's okay. With practice, it'll all end up becoming even, and even if you are more advanced, sometimes you're just not focused or whatever, and the stitches could still be different. But anywho, let's take our hook. We're gonna get our black yarn. So the same thing with the white spool. Now, sometimes for some reason I get tricked all the time. Some of the new spools, when you buy it from the store, for some reason they tuck the outside thread inside, I guess to keep it from pulling. So this one here looks like it could be the inside thread. It's not. Let's pull this sucker out. We're going to see the end and think that that's the one you have to use. Nope, this one is on the outside. Tuck that in under the little paper label. We're going to just go on the other side here, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab something. You know, it might not be pretty, but see, and I already see the end. I got lucky. Sometimes you'll get lucky. All right, so I'm going to lay this right next to my white. We have this bunch of black going on here. Like we did with the white, I'm just going to pull the yarn and unravel this wad. It's knotting, and like I said, that happens if you're not too lucky. But you just have to be careful with how you pull. Be very gentle with it. It's easier to undo a knot if it's loose than it is if you tightened it. So, just fixing this. Okay. Alright. Now that we've gone through to get to the end of the inside of this black yarn spool, we can cast on like we did with the white. So what you're going to do is, with your ring finger, pinky, and thumb, pinch one end of the yarn. We're going to use our index and middle finger to hold taut, like an inch or so. I'm going to take my hook. We're going to lay it perpendicular to the yarn. We're going to go down, out, and around to make a loop around the hook. Drag your hook towards your thumb and pinky and ring finger. we're just going to take our middle finger on our right hand and pinch it or press it down where it crosses so that we can remove our left hand. Okay, then we're going to grab some yarn around our finger. You're going to want to pinch the end of this yarn here and then drag your hook towards your thumb and your middle finger, and once you get there, we're going to pinch right where it crosses so that it can no longer go up or down. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull that through the loop like that. Then I'm going to overhand my hook here. We're going to pinch the end of the excess piece, and then with my thumb and index finger, I'm going to push this knot towards my thumb down to where the knot tightens up and can no longer move, or till it hits my thumb and can no longer move. Once you get to that point, then you can take your thumb and middle finger, pinch this end and pull it out to make that knot just a little bit more snug. Then I'm going to grab the knot with my index and my thumb like this, and we're going to pull this knot towards the hook. So do that now. You want to leave some space so you can work your stitching, but this time we're going to remove the loop off your hook like that. Try not to lose this, don't pull on it, just lay it down, and we're going to pick up the white. We're going to stick our hook back into that loop that we pulled out, and we're just going to tighten it up a little bit. We want to leave some space because we are going to do the next chain. So this is 23 stitches here. We're going to make the 24th white stitch, but we are going to yarn over with the black. So slip on the black onto your hook. Okay. Then however you need to move this white out of your way. And there's not much. I gotta like do one of these. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So let's gather up some yarn on your finger here to give some, you know, tension. We're gonna grab our white and we're gonna pull the black through the white. Okay. So pull that through the white. And there we've switched to our black. So now for the black, it says that we have to do 24 chains in black. Okay, so let's do 24 chains. We're going to yarn over and pull through the loop. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is going to be a little difficult because this is a darker color. It's not as nice and bright as the white, so I'm having a hard time seeing the loops. You're definitely going to have a hard time seeing the loops, so I apologize for that, but we just have to kind of work with what we know. So this piece here, just let it chill. You know, don't let it get too crazy. It's going to start pulling and the loop here is going to get larger. You can just tighten it back up. Okay, so we have 3. Let's do 21 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Let me just see if there's 24 stitches all together in black. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Okay. Just out of curiosity, the white 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Okay. All right, so now that we have 24, we're going to skip the first chain from the hook and do 23 single crochet stitches. Let's see if this helps any. I'm going to turn on my flash. So I have my flash on. Maybe that'll help. It's just unfortunate that we're going to be learning how to do this with a dark color. So hopefully you can see the stitches, the braiding. We're going to skip a stitch, so it's this one here from the hook, the first chain from the hook. We're skipping that. We're going to use the second chain from the hook, this one right here, and we are going to stick our hook into it. But where you put that is entirely up to you. There's two places you can put it. The first place is facing this way. We have a top loop and bottom loop. You can put it in the top loop here, which is normal, standard. That's how they would expect you to do it. Or you can do it the way that I do it. And if you turn it on its back, there's a little stitch or hump that you can see here. Let's put it against the white paper here. This hump right here, that one, you can stick it in there. So if you stick it in the back loop of each stitch, you can retain the beautiful braiding underneath. So that's what I'm going to do. I think eventually it'll be covered by the fringe, but it's a nice practice to do. So I'm just going to do it that way. Plus, when you tie the fringe, you'll have a very clear front and back loop, top or bottom loop to tie it to. So to do the single crochet stitch, you stick your hook into that loop and then you yarn over. We're going to pull that through the loop that you just stuck your hook in, like that. So now you have two loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull through those two loops like that. So we have our first single crochet stitch. So now we're going to do the next one. So if you see here on its side, here's the next stitch. If you're doing it to where you put it on the top loop, go ahead and do that. But if you went and did what I did, put it in the back loop right here. Okay. Then we're going to yarn over and pull that through the loop that we just stuck our hook in. So now we have two loops onto our hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull through those two loops. So now we have two single crochet stitches. Let's do this one more time with you guys. So you have your next stitch, which is right here. If you did it this way, you can put it on the top loop. But if you did it my way, you turn it on its back and you can put it in the back loop or the hump, like that. We're going to yarn over and pull that through the loop that you just stuck your hook in. So now we have two loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again and we're going to pull that through the two loops. And so now we have our 3 single crochet stitches. And then on the bottom, you can see you still have that pretty 3 braiding. Alright, so now I only have to do 20 more. You know, it doesn't say where to put the markers. But when we get there, I think I'll put the markers at the end of this row. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and do 20 more single crochet stitches. When you get to the 20th stitch, we're going to stop before we complete it, just like when we did the chains, because we got to switch back to white. Okay, so let's do I said 20, let's do 19 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Was this 13? Oh my gosh, I can't. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. Yeah, that was 13. And then we have our 3, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so let's work our last black single crochet stitch. Stick your hook into the last black chain. I want to try to put this fringe, this end pieces, I'm going to try to tuck it into this stitch. So lie it across the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop like we would normally do. But before finishing it and yarning over and pulling through 2 loops, I'm just going to drop this. And since this is technically still round 1, we want to leave the black in the back. So what we're doing right now is an odd number. So this side is going to be the front. So if that's the case, we are leaving the back in the black. Wait, we're going to leave the black in the back. We're going to pick up the white. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull that through the 2 loops. And that's how we finish that single crochet stitch, and we change to white. So now for the white, we're going to do 24 single crochet stitches in turn and end up with 47 stitches. So now that we can see the stitching, I can kind of re-show you where I'm putting in my hook. So we have our braids here. This is going to be the top and bottom, let's just say. And then the ones that you see when you turn it on its back, these are going to be the back loops or back humps. So if you're doing it normal, you can stick it into the top loop and continue your project. If you're doing it my way, just turn it on its back and then stick your hook into the back loop or hump like this. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull that through 2 loops. And we have transitioned nicely to white. So now I just have to do 23 more. Let's show this to you guys 2 more times, since now this is a very nice light color. So into the next stitch, either put it into your top loop if you've done it that way, or put it in the back loop if you did it my way. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So now we have 2 single crochet stitches in the white. One more time, stick your hook into the next stitch, either on the top loop if you did it normal, back loop if you did it my way. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So now we have 3 single crochet stitches in the white. Let's check out the bottom. This is what I wanted to maintain. Look how pretty the braid is that you still have. Even if we end up using the fringe and covering it, we now know where the 2 loops are that we're going to use to tie the fringe around. So that's also a good thing. Okay, so I'm going to just gather up more white yarn here. We're going to finish the remainder of the 21 single crochet stitches. I'm going to turn off this flash. Okay, so let's do 21 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Is that 24 stitches? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22. What? Alright, 3, maybe I counted wrong. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 23. Why am I missing one? Did I skip one? Ugh. Well, you should have 24. Let me see where I went wrong. I don't know, right? Unless I screwed up from the beginning. Let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 3. Oh, that's where I have to have 23 single crochet stitches in black. And then 24, not vice versa. Son of a gun. 3, 6, 9, 12, 12, 15, 18, 21. Now I have freaking 23. Why am I counting different every time? Alright, sorry guys. I am kind of sleepy, so let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12. Oh my god. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23. I'm just going to add a second one. I definitely have only 23. So make sure you count back and make sure you have 23 in black and 24 in white. And if you don't, you could always just add an extra single crochet stitch and make that 24th stitch happen. 24th single crochet stitch happen. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. But I mean, obviously, hopefully you did it right to where you're not in my position. Alright, so I got my 24 white, 23 black. I'm going to mark my last stitch that I made. I'm going to stick it on the top of the last stitch I made, front and back loops. So slip that marker in there just like that, and we're going to close it up. This kit came with, I think, 4 or 5. And so now we have our first row. We have that nice underside braiding, and we have the top braiding. We're going to move on to the next steps. So for rows 22 and 77, we chain 1 and do a single crochet stitch in all 47 stitches and turn. So it's going to be straight away the same stitch. I don't need to show you that, you guys, but I am going to show you how to do the next row. And then we're going to leave this mark here. Like I said, you can cover as you go. I'm going to take my post-it note here, and it's very tiny, but I'm just going to cover up the first row because we have finished it. And it looks like we're doing the same 23 black and 24 white. So I am now covering the first row. That way, as you know, when you creep up, you know exactly when to change color. Okay, and then let's say you take a little break and you stop it, you can make an arrow to show which box you're on, you know. But yeah, and then if you can reuse by folding it, you know what I mean. So there's a lot you can do with these post-it notes, but let's show you how to do the next round. So I'm going to gather up some yarn here, and we are going to turn the project. So make your turn, So now you're looking at the wrong side, and you can tell because the first row and all odd number rows, you're going to see that the stitching is kind of not so definitive, you know? Let's turn it back around. You'll know it's the right side if the even number rows are nice and like you have this braiding. Each stitch kind of has its own little pocket. Okay, so let's turn this again and let's do the second row. All right. So it says to chain one, we've done that. So just chain one like that. Then what we're going to do, we're going to stick our hook into the first stitch where your marker is. So you see how we kind of mark the loops front and back right here? We're going to stick our hook in with that marker, that little hole. So stick your hook into that same hole as the marker. This is the first single crochet stitch for this round. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So now we have our first single crochet stitch. We're going to do the next one. So into the next stitch, we put our hook in both the front and back loops. You see that nice braiding. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then we're going to yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. So now we have 2 single crochet stitches on the next round. One more time, you guys. So stick it into the next stitch, front and back loops. Then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So now we have 3 single crochet stitches. We have to do this 21 more times. And again, when we get to the 21st stitch, you don't want to complete it with the white, you want to complete it with the black. Okay. So let's do 20 single crochet stitches, and then I'll show you the 21st stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now for the last one, like I said, let's start this, put it into the next hook. Put the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Before we pick up the black, like I said before, if we're working on an even number, we do put the yarn in the front. So we have our yarn in the front here facing us. We're gonna work the yarn in the front. We're not going to like flip it back to the back. We just work it in the front as it is. We're going to yarn over with this black yarn instead of the white, like that. And we're going to pull it through the 2 loops. And we've switched to the, whatchamacallit, black. All right. So now we have to do 23 single crochet stitches in the black. And just make sure you put it into the right stitches because it is a darker yarn and you want to be sure that you're starting in the right spot every time. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Okay, let's just double check that we have 23 single crochet stitches. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23. All right, so we have 23 single crochet stitches for this second round. I'm going to put a marker on the top loops of the last stitch we've made and close it. And we're going to turn this project now. Okay. And then we're going to start the next row. So if you are keeping track of your rows, you can remove this and stick this over the last row you made. And it looks like we're going to be doing 22 in black this time. And you can also write numbers so you don't forget. 22. Okay. So I'm just going to show you again just how to start the next round. Let me grab some yarn here. Now I think after this round, we'll do it one more time. I'll do 3 rows with you guys. But after the 3rd row, I'm going to do it all in silence until we have to switch to yellow. Because I'll show you how to cast on. That'll be our 3rd time casting on in this project. And then of course we'll end up having to do another part video so I can re-show you guys all the stitches again if you forget. But turn your project. We're going to chain 1 like that. We're going to stick our hook where our marker is on the top of the last stitch made. Top, front, and back loops like that. We're going to do our single crochet stitch. So yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So we have our first single crochet stitch. We have to have 22 this time. So if this is the first one, we're going to do 21 single crochet stitches. Of course, when we get to the 21st stitch, we're going to switch to white. So let's do 20 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so now for 21, we're going to stick our hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over with the black, and because this is an odd number, we're going to leave the yarn here in the back of the project, and we're going to switch to the white. We're going to yarn over and pull that through the loop. Okay, then we're going to go about doing the remaining 24, and now we're going to do the remaining 25 single crochet stitches in white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's get some more yarn here. And you might notice like a little bit of confusion in the separation of yarn here. You could always resituate your spool so that it's not tangled. Let's gather up some yarn here. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Right, let's just double check that we have 25 stitches in white. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and 25. We're going to mark our last stitch of this round. Okay. Now we're going to move on to round 4. So you can take your Post-it and cover up the 3rd row. Okay. And just judging by the previous round, let's see, we have to do the same number of stitches. We're going to do 22 in black and 25 in white. So let me just show you guys again one last time how to start the next round. So I find sometimes some of the instructions for different brands are different. But for this one, after you chain 1, you stick your hook into the same stitch. Right, be careful if your hook comes out. We're going to turn our project, and then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to stick our hook into the same stitch as the marker, which is the top of the last stitch we made of the previous round. Make sure that the marker is clear. Okay. All right. Then we're going to be doing 24 single crochet stitches in the white. We're actually going to go 23, and on the 24th one, we're going to switch to black. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, oops, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so before we do our last one, we're gonna let go of the white and we're gonna pick up the black. Oh wait, no, sorry. We're going to stick our hook into the 24th stitch, which is actually 25. We just didn't add the one that we did in the beginning. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Then we're going to switch to black. Pick up the black, drop the white, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And then we're going to do 22 single crochet stitches in the black. Can't speak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right, 21, and 22. Okay, we're going to mark the last stitch, top of the last stitch made. Okay, then we can move on to the next round, round number 5. Again, you can kind of resituate yourself here if you feel like you're getting tangled with the 2 colors, but look how we are doing so far. Not too shabby. I'm going to go here and we're going to cover up the 4th round because I'm actually going to take a little break. You won't notice it because I'm going to clip right back into this doing the 5th round. But yeah, like I said, this is going to be the most repetitive thing that you'll do in this book. And I'm going to do the rest in silence until we hit yellow so I can show you one more time how to cast on using the slip knot. But we will do the rest in silence. Okay, so this is how far I got in 2 hours. Not much, but it is single crochet stitches, and it's a lot. So did get pretty far. I didn't get to change to yellow yet. We are going to do this in another part video. It looks like we might have 4 videos for this piece here. Hopefully 4, hopefully no more than that. But we stopped at row 15. When we start our part 2, we're going to do row 15. Black and white's already going to be attached, so I'm just going to go over how to do the stitches and then how to switch the colors that's already on here. And then eventually, of course, I'll show how to cast on with the yellow and switch to a yellow color. But this is kind of fun. This is the wrong side here. So you're seeing kind of a little bit of a raw state, but it's not too bad to kind of have the same image on the reverse side. So hopefully I can maintain a decent look for the reverse side, so you can choose to have which one and not really have to stick to one side as they're kind of implying. But here's the right side, and it's looking very, very nice, very clean. So comment below, let me know what you think. This is going to take a bit, but this is probably one of the easiest projects to do in this book, other than 0 so far. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Isms by Josie. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.